the Miami Dolphins, the Buffalo Bills. Billy, let's start off the Dolphins side of the ball. Who are you trusting this week in Week 17, which would be the championship week for whoever's left playing?
Yeah, I really like the running back situation for them coming into this game. We got Myles Gaskin back, had a big blow up last week and probably helped you win your championship in Week 16. And another guy with the wide receiver position, missing some guys and some injury questions, Lynn Bowden Jr. Coming on strong here at the end of this year. Really nice spot start for him in a flex spot or one of your deeper leagues, giving you a nice floor with those receptions.
Yeah, I like that quite a bit. Lynn Bowden will definitely come in. We don't expect Jakeem Grant to play, as you said. Devontae Parker did come back and practice in a limited capacity yesterday. It sounds as though he might be able to play. And of course, you have Mike Gesicki, who I have as a top 10 tight end this week for what that is worth. He's been able to be out there. He's at least number one red zone threat. They do plan on starting the game with Tua Tagovailoa, which, while he has been very conservative between the 20s, he is looking for his bigger targets in the red zone, whether it be a Devontae Parker, whether it be a Mike Gesicki. And of course, Myles Gaskin. Where would we be without Myles Gaskin right now, who's had a great year when he's been able to be out in the field, that is. I have his RB18 coming in on the week. They could be a lot higher. Now, these rankings will get updated on Billy Fantasy Sports throughout the weekend. The tricky part here is, what's Buffalo going to do? Are they going to come out because it's a divisional rival and they have a chance to knock a team out of the playoffs that's in their division? Are they going to come out and play hard? Or are they going to look at this as, look, we have nothing to gain by winning here other than getting players potentially injured? Do we sit people after the first half? Because from all intents and purposes, from what we've heard so far, is that they don't plan on sitting anybody at the start. But will they sit these guys at the half? What do you think about that, Billy?
I think they're going to play this game trying to win it. Josh Allen had 4 passing touchdowns against this team in Week 2 last time they played, really gashed them up. I think they try to come out, make quick work of it, get Stephon Diggs his touchdown career high at 10. He's sitting at 8 right now after a 3 touchdown week last week. But I really think they try to make quick work of them and try to make their defense sit on them. I mean, they're not giving up very many points to running backs. Their second fewest points to wide receivers. I think they let their defense play and put some pressure on Tua and try to see if they can't just squeak out a win and get their guys out of there healthy.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that one. The statement is not even what they did against the Dolphins. The statement to me was last week against the Patriots. There was nothing to gain last week, and they made a point of, we are here to own this division. That's what that struck me as. I expect them to play, which means on the other side, Josh Allen's my number one quarterback this week. We know Patrick Mahomes is going to sit. The Dolphins secondary, while they're good at getting turnovers, they're not actually great when it comes to yards allowed, when it comes to touchdowns allowed, things of that nature. So I kind of like Josh Allen a lot this week, especially with Stephon Diggs being back there, who's been one of the most consistent wide receiver ones of the season. There's been no doubt about that. He comes in at wide receiver 4 for me this week. He's been completely healthy. It was clearly he did not have a foot issue against the Patriots on Monday Night Football whatsoever, with touchdowns out the wazoo, coming in through for what was real people and professional fantasy football championships last week, unlike you amateur hour people out there, which we're talking to today. Yes, I poke fun at you. We're still here, though. If I didn't care about you, we wouldn't be doing this show on Week 17. So don't worry. We are still here. And because I want to talk about a little bit of a DFS angle, this has got to be the top stack of the week. What do you think, Bill?
I definitely agree with you there. There's no way you can go against it. 400 yards with 4 touchdowns last time these teams met, and Josh Allen's just gotten better week by week. And him and Stephon Diggs, the rapport that they've built, is one of the best duos in the NFL, and it's going to be for years to come. Coming into this year, when Stephon Diggs got traded to Buffalo, we were questioning whether or not he would work in this offense. Well, guess what, guys? He works really well in this offense. And he's at 8 touchdowns, the career high of 9. He's trying to make a point. He's already career high in yards, receptions. Last week they pushed to get Josh Allen that franchise record in touchdowns. So I think they go ahead and they get him a couple touchdowns fast. Plus, he's the main option in this offense. They're going to be without John Brown again. Gabriel Davis is flashing too. Great DFS spot for him. He's going to be a lower budget guy for you there too. So I really think the Bills can come out and score early, score fast, and get their guys out of this game. And the way they're cruising right now, I don't think they want to sit too much being an inexperienced team heading into the postseason.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And the other thing to keep in mind is Cole Beasley's probably not going to play in this game. As you mentioned with Gabriel Davis there, he's going to be a nice little pickup. I think the only other thing that maybe some people are asking, because we might have running backs sitting, can you play a Buffalo Bill running back? I have them both as nothing more than low-end RB3s tops because they cut into each other so much. I don't really want to trust it, but you can run on the Miami Dolphins. Are you going to play a running back at all, Billy?
If I were to play a running back, it would be Zach Moss, and here's the reason why. When they get in the red zone, he's the guy who gets the touches. Yeah, Singletary cuts into his production and puts kind of a ceiling on that, but if you need touchdowns or you're in a touchdown-dependent league, Zach Moss is the guy that you'd like to have in your lineup, but still, an RB3, maybe a middle-of-the-road flex option for me there as well.
Yeah, totally agree. I think you can, even in this week, in week 17, which is it's the wild, wild west when it comes to rankings because who knows who's going to play, how much, at all, whatever the case may be. However, I still think you can find better value this week than a Buffalo Bills running back, or at least something more that you can trust if you're looking for your championship weeks, is what we're talking about in today's matchup. So let's move on into our next game here, which should be a blowout, but this team's been playing kind of tough recently. We're talking about the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals in this one. Ravens should blow this game out. Their physical bully style of football. The Bengals are a lesser team. However, the Bengals are coming off a 2-game win streak inexplicably somehow. And now we have the Ravens, though, have something to play for. They have to win this game. And they're not going to know if they're going to make the playoffs until later on in the day, even after this game is over. So they know they have to win. So at the very least, for the first half, they are going to be full-blown, all the starters go. Maybe if they're blowing them out by then, we might see them bench some people. But they do have to win this game. So there's going to be an effort on that. I have Lamar Jackson as a top 10 quarterback. Should be no surprise there. They're finally unleashing him, letting him run around. J.K. Dobbins is a top 10 running back for me this week. And Gus Edwards is an RB2 for me this week. I think you can play both of these guys in your lineups with the way that they're carrying the football. Marquise Brown's a wide receiver 2. And Mark Andrews is in my top 5 as far as tight ends. Or anything there that you disagree with, Billy?
No, I really like the Ravens this week. They're playing for something, and they're trying to make a point, and they're not going to let this Bengals team sneak up on them like the Steelers did. Like you said, J.K. Dobbins, high-end running back coming down the backstretch of this year, 5 consecutive games with a touchdown, and Cincinnati has allowed a couple touchdowns receiving and rushing in the last month, and they really haven't been hit by anybody that's too talented out of anybody's backfield. You mentioned Hollywood Brown, really a slow start, a guy people were starting to bail on here right before the playoffs, but I told you not to because he had one of the most favorable schedules in the playoffs, and he scored almost every week here down the stretch. They're looking to make a point here at Cincinnati, and they're looking to put teams on notice as they move into their playoff push here late in this season.
Yeah, and like I said, people are like, well, wait a minute. They beat those Pittsburgh Steelers. They beat the Houston Texans last week. Look, this is where style of football matters. The physical bully style of the Baltimore Ravens does not normally allow lesser teams to actually be able to win. Now, look at this entire season. The Ravens have struggled offensively. I've had my issues with Greg Roman. I've aired them out on this show. Everything going on with their play calling, with the rotation of the backs and everything like that. But because they play a tough, physical bully style of ball, what lesser team has beaten the Ravens this season? It hasn't happened. They've lost the teams that are equal in talent or better in talent. They don't lose the teams that are lesser in talent. And it's all going to stem from Lamar Jackson running, J.K. Dobbins running, and Gus Edwards running. And you may see a bomb in there with Marquise Brown. I do like Mark Andrews for a touchdown here. I like the Baltimore Ravens for 40 points themselves in this game against the Cincinnati Bengals, which means all your fantasy football purposes, they should be able to eat. So we will be able to play the Baltimore Ravens with a lot of confidence. However, on the Cincinnati Bengals side of the ball, I'm not confident really in anybody. I don't care what I've been seeing as of late. The Ravens defense is getting healthier right now. I do have T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd ranked in that top-end wide receiver 3, low-end wide receiver 2 territory, just out of garbage time necessity. I'm not touching Giovanni Bernard, and I don't even know what else you would even consider on the Cincinnati Bengals anyway. What do you think, Bill?
Yeah, the Brandon Allen honeymoon's over. 2 consecutive games with 75% completions or better, multiple touchdowns, no picks. That's going to change. He's going to throw picks against this defense. They're going to get in his face. They're going to put pressure on him. Maybe Gio has a bit of a floor with some pass catching out of the dump-offs, but I don't see him racking up a lot of yards, and I don't see them getting too many trips to the red zone, giving him kind of a gimme touchdown. Also, Samaje Perine kind of came in the game and showed that he's kind of worthy of some more carries as well. So it kind of caps the optimism that we had with Gio coming into this week. T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, you're probably playing them just where you have them on your roster. But I would temper expectations. I don't expect them to have a whole lot of stats racking up in this game. Maybe a decent floor with 5 or 6 catches for T. Higgins. But Tyler Boyd, I'm not real excited about him. He hasn't been playing that well lately.
Now, you're talking about a floor play. You know these guys will get targets. You know they get volume. You know there's a good chance for garbage time in the fourth quarter. That's where you're hoping you're going to get your fantasy points. To your point, Billy, you may just not have a better option, which is could very plausibly be depending on what your lineup construction is heading into this week. That's why they still come in as a top end wide receiver 3 for me, borderline wide receiver 2, because they are playable options. But I'm not expecting ceiling plays whatsoever. You're hoping T. Higgins falls into the end zone. Nothing else in this one. With Bernard, I hate Samaje Perine because he's a bum. He's garbage. I'm so sick and tired of watching this guy get 10 carries. But the fact of the matter is he is. And then ultimately, that's what eats into Giovanni Bernard. Because if you're going to tell me Bernard gets 25 carries like he did against the Pittsburgh Steelers, along with 4 to 5 receptions in that game, then yeah, you know what? I could actually play Bernard as a flex play even against the Baltimore Ravens. But because I have to watch Perine against the Houston Texans get 10 carries for inexplicably no reason, I know he went off. I don't care. This guy is a practice squad guy. He's nothing more. I'm tired of watching bottom tier talent go off at late in the season where we have to actually watch these guys, and it's hurting my eyes by seeing them on the field. But Samaje Perine will be a factor, and that's what killed Giovanni Bernard at the end of the day, which could have some fantasy value. But let's stay in the AFC North. Let's talk about the Steelers. Let's talk about the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are in dire straits right now. They're having a lot of COVID issues. We kicked off the show, letting you guys know their team facilities are closed. They have everything on the line this week. The Steelers do not. However, the Steelers are only benching Ben Roethlisberger. They're not benching anybody else. Everybody else is full go. Everybody on the defense, everybody else on the offense. The only person who's going to be resting is Ben Roethlisberger. So, with the Cleveland Browns, and just keep in mind, we have 2 more players that tested positive. We don't know who they are yet. So, we have to keep that in mind as well. But with the Cleveland Browns, with them having more on the line, do you trust in Nick Chubb? Do you trust in Kareem Hunt? 2 players, by the way, which have had tough goes the last 2 weeks against the Giants and the Jets.
Yeah, the Browns I'm not real excited about, but Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are going to be the keys to them winning this game if they can. The Steelers secondary is pretty good, and with these receivers missing practice and things like that, none of them are really playing all that well to begin with for Baker. Baker got hot there a little bit, but he's really kind of came back to earth, especially last week. Just looked absolutely terrible, obviously, without his wide receiving core out there, but the Browns, I feel like they might still be in trouble, even with the Steelers resting their offense. They're going to be able to move the ball a little bit on the Browns' defense. There's nothing formidable on that side of the ball for Cleveland. However, I feel like Pittsburgh thinks they can win this game with their defense, and it might be enough to get it done, especially if they get in Baker's face. When he's uncomfortable, he's a very pedestrian quarterback.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, I'll caveat off of this. We do expect Jarvis Landry to be back. We do expect Rashard Higgins to be back. They will have Austin Hooper. They're not going to have Harrison Bryant, but they will have Austin Hooper, and they will have David Njoku. So all those things should be available for the Cleveland Browns heading into this matchup. And I have Nick Chubb as RB17. I have Kareem Hunt as RB25. And usually speaking, I have Nick Chubb within the top 10. The issue that I'm having here is that after watching this offensive line, which is a little bit banged up right now, struggle against the Giants, which do have a decent running attack, struggle against the Jets, which I guess also do have a decent running attack. But these teams are still teams that if you're a Kevin Stefanski-led offense, with a Nick Chubb, with a Kareem Hunt, with the way you've been able to run the football all season long, you shouldn't have had as much trouble as you had. Last week, I don't know what that was. I don't know what play calling they were going by. You lost all receivers, and your game plan to that was, let's run the ball 12 times. I don't understand what that was. But the Pittsburgh Steelers lately, they've been susceptible against the run. Jonathan Taylor had a nice game last week and had the Colts not stop giving him the football in the second half. He might have had an even bigger game. Giovanni Bernard had a big game against them a couple of weeks ago. Running backs have been able to have this defense lately since they've been having trouble at the inside linebacker position. The Cleveland Browns have to take advantage of that. If they're unable to take advantage of that, to your point, they might lose this game and lose out of the playoffs a team that really should be in there. And this would be a horrible, horrible time for that to happen. But as far as your fantasy lineups go, you're not going to have a better option than Nick Chubb. I don't know if you're going to have a better option than Kareem Hunt. I doubt that you would. I don't know if you're going to have a better option necessarily than an Austin Hooper unless you have a George Kittle this week. Remember, Travis Kelce's not playing. So Austin Hooper came into my top 12 this week as far as tight ends go. Jarvis Landry's a wide receiver 15 for me. You can play these key guys. Wide receivers have had success against Pittsburgh Steelers, especially on the perimeter. Even Rashard Higgins, I think, can be a boom or bust option. I may be looking at him more in DFS, but he may be a boom or bust option as well.